Hello, everybody. Happy Sunday. How you guys doing? You having a good time? I have been hunting zombies and getting my ass handed to me all weekend. How's my day? It's been going pretty well, honestly. I got a good chunk of chores done, I guess, this weekend. I would like to applaud myself for finally clearing out a month's worth of dirty laundry as well. And got some good news. Got some good news as well. I will have a good chunk of money coming back to me thanks to the tax return. Estimated massive chunk of money. So it's gonna be cleared very soon. And that should help me live for a good while until I deepen a bit more into figuring out the next part of this the next part of my stuff. I have a hard time getting words. Mine's foobar as usual, so I just wanted to stop by to wish you fun. Thank you, Code. Thank you, Code. But yeah. Before we delve into this read along, let's talk schedule. Let's talk schedule. So I gave it some thought, right? And I feel like it's better if I focus on one model at a time rather than trying to do both at once. So, so we're gonna get back into work streams this week. We're going to learn how to shade clothings as well. And I'm gonna apply this to my model. That way, we can apply what we practice to Maui's model afterwards. I don't have any big collabs honestly this week, so it's probably going to be a chill week. How's the other project going? I mean, we revised a bit of the head. We're still like continuing to make like some work on the hair and the likes. I haven't really touched it due to a lot of, depression and the likes. But I'm feeling pretty confident that this week I can start to get myself a bit more under control. So I have hopes. I have hopes for this week. This week is gonna be good. I'm feeling this week is going to be very good. I didn't quite catch the decision on the mouth shard. The mouth shard essentially, I have made two mouths essentially, which I can interchange. So both mouths are going to be rigged, and I can just switch them, or you guys can even have control of them on it if I feel like it. So yeah, I'm very looking forward to rigging that model as well, which is going to be another month of work unless like I fully dedicate it. I don't know. Should I turn the rigging of my new model to like an event or something? What do you guys think? Should we commit? Is the question. Why not? It's a bit sudden, but last subathon we had I know I haven't fully finished the stuff, but we could make it into an event. I could cook something up with whatever we have remaining from the old subathon and make a new subathon for the rigging of this model. What do you guys think? That could be an idea. Mm, 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 mm. We could have fun at the same time. We could start the day, have some fun, and then we delve literally into rigging, accomplish some goals. How's the bug? How's the bug? Which bug? But yeah, I could see it. I could see it happening. Honestly, I have a few in DM. Oh yeah. Hang on, let me check my DMs. Pup, 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 pup. Oh yeah. Don't worry, don't worry. That still needs to be drawn, but I know how I'm going to draw it. Don't worry. It will be added, Mod Lover. I owe you that much. But yeah, so I'm going. I'm gonna put this like as something to do this week as well. Just cook up this little this special subathon, I guess. Another rigathon. Let's call it rigathon. Yeah. And we shall see. We shall see. We shall see how this goes. Which means that's going to be a full-time commitment to rigging. And once that's done, oh boy. We pet the book. Yeah, we pet the book. We'll discuss this like later. But yeah. New rigathon coming soon. It is the decision on the spot. With that being said, are we ready to read? Story time for the moment? Yes. So, last time we left off, we were literally getting our ass handed over by the very first fight against Master Chief and the Covenant. After they got the Mjolnir armor. So what I remember is that we left off on chapter 13. This little Corvette was beating our ass. And John is like, yeah, you know what? We're going to beat his ass. Because that's just how baller we are. So, with that being said, let's get down to it. Chapter 14. Let me just adjust my microphone first for my own comfort. And then, let's get to it. Chapter 14. 2037 hours. November 27th, 2525. In orbit over Chi-Ceti 4. John piloted the Pelican through the exit burn of their orbital path, then sent the ship towards the last known position of the Commonwealth. The frigate had moved 10 million kilometers in system from their rendezvous point. Dr. Halsey sat in the co-pilot's seat, fidgeting with her spacesuit. In the aft compartment were the Spartans, the 3 technicians from the Damascus facility, and a dozen spare Mjolnir suits. Missing, however, were the AIs John had seen when they had first arrived. All Dr. Halsey had time to do was remove their memory processor cubes. It was a tremendous waste to leave such expensive equipment behind. Dr. Halsey examined the ship's short-range detection gear, then said, Captain Wallace may be trying to use Chi-Ceti's magnetic field to deflect the Covenant's plasma weapon. Try and catch up, Petty Officer. Yes, ma'am. John pushed the engine to 100%. Covenant ship to port, she said. 3 million kilometers and closing on the Commonwealth. John bumped up the magnification on screen and spotted the ship. The alien vessel's hull was bent at a 30-degree angle from the impact of the Mach Heavy round. But it still moved at almost twice the speed of the Commonwealth. Doctor, John asked, does a Mjolnir armor operate in vacuum? Of course, she replied. It was one of our first design consideration. The suit can recycle air for 90 minutes. It's shielded against radiation and EMP as well. He then spoke to Sam over his comlink. What kind of missile is this bird carrying? Wait 1 moment, sir, Sam replied. His voice returned a moment later. We have 2 rocket pods with 16 high-explosive Anvil 2s each. I want you to assemble a team and go EVA. Remove those warheads from the wing pods. I'm on it, Sam said. Halsey tried to push her glasses up, higher on her nose. Instead, she bumped up against the faceplate on her suit's helmet. May I ask what you have in mind, squad leader? John left his comm channel open so the Spartan would hear his reply. Requesting permission to attack the Covenant ship, ma'am. Her blue eyes widened. Most certainly not, she said. If a warship like the Commonwealth couldn't destroy it, a Pelican is certainly no match for them. Not the Pelican, no, John agreed. But I believe we Spartan are. If we get inside the enemy ship, we can destroy her. Dr. Halsey considered, tapping her lower lip. How will you get on board? We go EVA and use thruster packs to intercept the Covenant ship as it passes en route to the Commonwealth. She shook her head. One slight error in your trajectory and you couldn't miss by kilometers, Dr. Halsey remarked. A pause. I don't miss, ma'am, John said. They have reflective shields. True, John replied. But the ship is damaged. They may have had to lower or reduce shielding in order to conserve power. And if we have to, we can use one of our own warheads to punch a small hole in the barrier. He paused, and then added. There's also a large hole in their hull. Their shield may not cover that space entirely. It's a tremendous risk, Dr. Halsey whispered. With respect, ma'am, it's a bitter risk to sit here and do nothing. After they finish with the Commonwealth, they'll come for us. And we'll have to fight them anyway. Better to strike first. She stared off into space, lost in thought. Finally, she sighed in resignation. Very well. Go. She transferred the pilot controls to her station. And blow the hell out of them. John climbed into the aft compartment. His Spartans stood at attention. He felt a rush of pride. They were ready to follow him as he leaped literally into the jaws of death. I've got the warhead, Sam said. It was hard to mistake Sam, even with his reflective blast shield covering his face. He was the largest Spartan, even more imposing encased in the armor. Everyone got one, Sam continued as he landed John a metal shell. Timers and detonators are already rigged, stuck on a patch of adhesive polymer. They'll cling to your suit. Spartan, John said. Grab thruster packs and make ready to go EVA. Everyone else? He motioned to the 3 technicians. Get into the forward cabin. If we fail, they'll be coming after the Pelican. Protect Dr. Halsey. He moved aft, Kelly handed him a thruster pack and he slipped it on. Covenant ship approaching, Halsey called out. I'm pumping out your atmosphere to avoid explosive decompression when I drop the back hatch. We'll only get one shot at this, John said to the other Spartans. Plot an intercept trajectory and fire your thrusters at max burn. If the target changes course, you'll have to make a best guess correction on the fly. If you make it, we'll regroup outside the hole, in their hole. If you miss, we'll pick you up after we're done. He hesitated, then added, and if we don't succeed, then power down your systems and wait for UNSC reinforcement to retrieve you. Live to fight another day. Don't waste your lives. There was a moment of silence. If anyone has a better plan, speak up now. Sam pat John on the back. This is a great plan. It'll be easier than Chief Mendez's playground. A bunch of little kids could pull it off. Sure, John said. Everyone ready? Sir, they said. We're ready, sir. John flipped the safety off and then punched into the code to open the pelican's tail. The mechanism opened soundlessly in the vacuum. Outside was infinite blackness. He had a feeling of falling through space, but the vertigo quickly passed. Water time. Gotta keep hydrated, you know. Sorry about the ASMR, the water drinking ASMR. He positioned himself on the edge of the ramp, both hands gripping a safety handle overhead. The Covenant ship was a tiny dot in the center of his helmet's view screen. He plotted a course and fired the thrusters back on maximum burn. Acceleration slammed him into the thruster's harness. He knew the others would launch right after him, but he couldn't turn to see them. It occurred to him, then, that the Covenant ship might identify the Spartans as incoming missiles, and their point defense lasers were too damn accurate. John clicked on the comm channel. Doctor, we could use a few decoys if Captain Wallace can spare them. Understood, she said. The Covenant vessel grew rapidly in his display. A burst from its engine, and it turned slightly. Traveling at 100 million kilometers an hour, even a minor course correction meant that it could miss by tens of thousands of kilometers. John carefully corrected his vector. The pulse laser on the side of Covenant ship glowed, built up energy until it was a dazzling neon blue, then discharge, but not at him. John saw explosions in his peripheral visions. The Commonwealth had fired a salvo of her Archer missiles. Around him in the dark were puffballs of red-orange detonations, utterly silent. John's velocity now almost matched that of the ship. He eased toward the hole. 20 meters, 10, 5. And then the Covenant ship started to pull away from him. It was traveling too fast. He tapped his altitude thrusters and pointed himself perpendicular to the hull. The Covenant hull accelerated under him, but he was dropping closer. He stretched out his arms. The hull raced past his fingertips a meter away. John's finger brushed against something. It felt semi-liquid. He could see his hand skimming a near-invisible, glassy, shimmering surface. The energy shield. Damn, their shield were still up. He glanced to either side. The huge hole in their hull was nowhere in sight. He slid over the hole, unable to grab hold of it. No! He refused to accept that he had made it this far, only to fail now. A pulse laser flashed 100 meters away. His faceplate barely adjusted in time. The flash nearly blinded him. John blinked, and then saw a silvery film rush back around the bulbous base of the laser turret. The shield dropped to let the laser fire. The laser started to build up charge again. He would have to act quickly. His timing had to be perfect. If he hit the turret before it's fired, he'd bounced off. If he hit the turret as it fired, there wouldn't be much left of him. The turret glowed. Intensely bright, John set his thrust harness on a maximum burn towards the laser. Noting the rapidly dwindling fuel charge, he closed his eyes, saw the blinding flash through his lids, felt the heat on his face, then opened his eyes, just in time to crash and bounce into the hole. The hole plates were smooth, but had grooves and odd, organic crenellations. Perfect finger holds. The difference between his momentum and the ship's nearly pulled his arm out of their socket. He grit his teeth and tightened his grip. He had made it. John pulled himself along the hull, towards the hole the Commonwealth Mac round had punched in the ship. Only 2 other Spartans waited for him there. "What took you so long?" Sam's voice crackled over the comm channel. The other Spartan lifted her helmet's reflective blast shield. He saw Kelly's face. "I think we're it," Kelly said. "I'm not getting any other response over the comm channels." That meant either the Covenant ship shielded the transmissions, or there were no Spartan left to communicate with. John pushed that last thought aside. The hole was 10 meters across. Jagged metal teeth pointed inward. John looked over the edge and saw that the Mac heavy round had indeed passed all the way through. He saw tiers of exposed decks, severed conduits, and sheared metal beam. And through the other side, black space and stars. They climbed down. John immediately fell down on the first deck. They continued inward, scaling the metal walls until they were approximately in the middle of the ship. John paused and saw the stars wheel outside either end of the hole. The Covenant ship must be turning. They were engaging the Commonwealth. "We better hurry." He stepped onto an exposed deck, and the gravity settled his stomach, giving him an up and down orientation. "Weapon check," John told them. They examined their assault rifles. The gun had made the journey intact. John slipped in a clip of armor-piercing rounds, noting with pleasure that the suit immediately aligned the sight profile of the gun with his targeting system. He slung the weapon and checked the HE warhead attached to his hip. The timer and detonator looked undamaged. John faced a sealed set of sliding pressure doors. It was smooth and soft to his touch. It could have been made of metal or plastic, or could have been alive, for all he knew. He and Sam grabbed either side and pulled, strain, and then the mechanism gave and the door released. There was a hiss of atmosphere, a dark hallway beyond. They entered in formation, covering each other's blind spot. The ceiling was 3 meters high. It made John feel small. You think they need all this space because they're so large? Kelly asked. We'll know soon, he told her. They crouch, weapons at the ready, and move slowly down the corridor. John and Kelly in front. They rounded a corner and stopped at another set of pressure doors. John grabbed the seam. Hang on, Kelly said. She knelt next to a pad with 9 buttons. Each button was inscribed with runic alien script. These characters are strange, but one of them has to open this. She touched one and it lit. Then she keyed another. Gas hissed into the corridor. At least the pressure is equalized, she said. John double-checked his sensors. Nothing. Though the alien metal inside the ship could be blocking the scans. Try another, Sam said. She did, and the doors slid apart. The room was inhabited. An alien creature stood 1.5 meters tall. A biped. Its knobby, scale skin was a sickly, mottled yellow. Purple and yellow fins ran along the crest of its skull and its forearm. Glittering, bulbous eyes protruded from skull-like hollows in the alien's elongated head. The Master Chief had read the UNSC's first contact scenarios. They called for cautious attempt at communication. He couldn't imagine communicating with something like this. Thing. It reminded him of the carrion birds on Reach, vicious and unclean. The creature stood there, frozen for a moment, staring at the human interloper. Then it screeched and reached for something on its belt, its movement darting and bird-like. The Spartans shouldered their weapons and fired a trio of bursts with pinpoint accuracy. Armor-piercing rounds tore into the creature, shredding its chest and head. It crumpled into a heap without a sound, dead before it hit the deck. Thick blood oozed from the corpse. That was easy, Sam remarked. He nudged the creature with his boot. They sure are as tough as their ships. Let's hope it stays that way, John replied. I'm getting a radiation reading this way, Kelly said. She gestured deeper into the vessel. They continued down a corridor and took a side branch. Kelly dropped a nav marker, and its double blue triangle pulsed once on their heads-up display. They stopped at another set of pressure doors. Sam and John took up flanking position to cover her. Kelly punched the same buttons she had punched before, and the doors slid apart. Another of the creatures was there. It stood in a circular room with crystalline control panels and a large window. This time, however, the vulture-headed creature didn't scream or look particularly surprised. This one looked angry. The creature held a claw-like device in its hand, leveled at John. John and Kelly fired. The bullet fills the air and pinged off a silver shimmering barrier in front of the creature. A bolt of blue heat blasted from the claw. Wait, did I skip a page? Hang on a second. No, I did not. Just making sure. Sorry about that. A bolt of blue heat blasted from the claw. The blast was similar to the plasma weapon that had hit the Commonwealth, and boiled a third of it away. The bolt sizzled over the head. Sam dove forward and knocked John out of the blast's path. The energy burst caught Sam in the side. The reflective coating of his Mjolnir armor flared. He fell, clutching his sides, but still managed to fire his weapon. John and Kelly rolled on their backs and sprayed gunfire at the creature. Bullets peppered the alien. Each one bounced and ricocheted off the other shield. John glanced at his armor counter, half gone. "Keep firing!" he ordered. The alien kept up a stream of answering fire. Energy blasts hammered into Sam, who fell to the deck, his weapon empty. "Hi, Reckless. Welcome, welcome. Halo time. Yes." Uh, John charged forward and slammed his foot into the alien's shield and knocked it out of line. He jammed the barrel of his rifle into the alien's screeching mouth and squeezed the trigger. The armor-piercing rounds punctured the alien and spattered the back walls with blood and bits of bones. John rose and helped Sam up. "I'm okay," Sam said, holding his side, grimacing. "Just a little singe." The reflective coating on his armor was blackened. "You sure?" Sam waved him away. John paused over the remaining bits of the alien. He spotted a glint of metal, an arm guard, and he picked it up. He tapped one of the 3 buttons on the device, but nothing happened. He strapped it on his forearm. Dr. Halsey might find it useful. They entered the room. The large window was a half-meter thick. It overlooked a large chamber that descended 3 decks. A cylinder ran the length of the chamber, and a red light pulsed along its length, like a liquid sloshing back and forth. Under the window, on their side, rested a smooth angled surface, perhaps a control panel. On its surface were tiny symbols, glowing green dots, bars, and squares. "That's got to be the source of the radiation," Kelly said, and pointed to the chamber beyond. "Their reactor, or maybe a weapon system." Another alien marched near the cylinder. It spotted John. A silver shimmer appeared around it. It screeched and wobbled in alarm, then scrambled for cover. "Trouble," John said. "I've got an idea." Sam limped forward. "Hand me those warheads." John did as he asked. So did Kelly. "We shoot out that window, set timers on the warhead, and toss them down there. That should start the party." "Let's do it before they call in reinforcements," John said. They turned and fired. They turned and fired at the crystal. It crackled, splintered, then shattered. "Toss a warhead," Sam said, "and let's get out of here." John set the timers. 3 minutes, he said. "That'll give us just enough time to get topside and get away." He turned to Sam. "You'll have to stay and hold them off. That's an order." "What are you talking about?" Kelly said. "Sam knows." Sam nodded. "I think I can hold them off that long." He looked at John and then Kelly. He turned and showed them the burn on the side of his suit. There was a hole the size of his fist, and beneath that, the skin was blackened and cracked. He smiled, but his teeth were gritted in pain. "That's nothing," Kelly said. "We'll get you patched up in no time, once we get back." Her mouth slowly dropped open. "Exactly. Getting back is going to be a problem for me." The hole. John reached out to touch it. We don't have a way to seal it. Kelly shook her head. If I step off this boat, I'm dead from the decompression, Sam said and shrugged. No! No! Everyone gets out alive. We don't leave teammates behind. He has his orders, John told Kelly. You've got to leave me, Sam said softly to Kelly. And don't tell me you'll give me your suit. It took those techs on Damascus 15 minutes to fit us. I wouldn't even know where to start to unzip this thing. John looked at the deck. The chief had told him he'd have to send men to their death. He didn't tell him it would feel like this. Don't waste time talking. Our new friends are going to wait for us while we figure this out. He started the timers. There. It's decided. A 3-minute countdown appeared in the corner of their heads-up display. Now, get going, you two. John clasped Sam's hand and squeezed it. Kelly hesitated. Then salute. John turned and grabbed her arm. Come on, Spartan. Don't look back. The truth was, it was John who didn't dare look back. If he had, he would have stayed with Sam. Better to die with a friend than leave him behind. But as much as he wanted to fight and die alongside his friend, he had to set an example for the rest of the Spartans and live to fight another day. John and Kelly pushed the pressure doors shut behind them. Goodbye, he whispered. The countdown timer ticked the seconds off inexorably. 2:35. They ran down the corridor, popped the seal on the other door, the atmosphere vent. 1:05. They climbed up through the twisted metal canyon that the Mac round had torn through the hole. 0:33. There, John said, and pointed to the base of a charged pulse laser. They crawled towards it, waited as the glow built to a lethal charge. 0:12. They crouched and held onto one another. The laser fired. The heat blistered John's back. They pushed off with all their strength, multiplied through the Mjolnir armor. 0. The shield parted and they cleared the ship, hurtling into the blackness. The Covenant ship shuddered. Flashes of red appeared inside the hole. Then a god of fire rose and ballooned, but curled downward as it hit and rebounded off their own shield. The plasma spread along the length of their vessel. The shield shimmered and rippled silver, holding the destructive force inside. Metal glowed and melted. The pulse laser turrets absorbed into the hull. The hull blistered, bubbled, and boiled. The shield finally gave. The ship exploded. Kelly clung to John. 1,000 molten fragments hurled past them, cooling from white to orange to red, and then disappearing into the dark of the night. Sam's death had showed them that the Covenant were not invincible. They could be beaten. At a high cost, however. John finally understood what the chief had meant. The difference between a life wasted and a life spent. John also knew that humanity had a fighting chance, and he was ready to go to war. Section 3. Sigma Octanus. I just need to do a little quick thing. Take it. So, how was this chapter? The first fight against the Covenant for the Spartans. And the death. Well, the disappearance of the first Spartan. Interesting first contact. This was not the first contact, Mutt Lover. The first contact happened on Harvest, which we will cover when we read Contact Harvest. However, this is the first, I would say, win against the Covenant. Either small, but still a win. Now, let me just make sure that I don't get the... Oh my. So, let's get back. I remember saying that they were 14 years old when they first fought the Covenant, right? Now, chapter 15 is set. This chapter starts on July 17th, 2552, which means 27 years has passed between chapter 14 and chapter 15, which would bring them to, hang on, 14, 24, 34, 35, 36, 42 years old. The Spartans are now 42 years old. I'm just going to make sure that we don't have anything in Halsey's journal first to read. Oh boy, we do. It's time for Halsey's journal. From Halsey's journal, February 24, 2526. Covenant. Noun. A formal legal agreement between parties, or an oath between a preternatural power and sentient being. This is how the aliens refer to themselves. We've discovered several client species in their collective. So, does covenant refer to a legalistic agreement among their species? Or to a sacrosanct bond they share with some higher power whom they worship? To better understand and eventually exploit their psychology, we must find the answer. On this page, we see a few sketches, outlines of some of the species. One of them is the grunt, one of them is the jackal, one of them the brute. Highlighted is how many are there. I do have a question for you guys. Would you like me to show you the books as we read it? I could use the pet cam for that. There is a lot of drawings that we could go through using the pet cam. It could enhance the experience at the same time. What do you think? That's a fun use of the cat cam. Yeah. It would be nice to see the picture. Yeah. Okay. So let's get this cat cam moved around. So give me just a second. You might see some mess, the mess that is my desk, but very sorry about that. So give me just a second to set up, okay? I will be right back. All right. Now, this is not the best webcam that I have, but it's good enough for what we need. If you see it shake, that's probably because I'm bumping it. Okay, this tripod is literally like in between my legs right now. So, as I was saying on this one, as you can see, we have grunts, outline, jackal, brute. How many are there? Now then, woo! I forgot that this book also have like some little page stuck in the book. The book looks nice. It is nice. It is identical to in Reach. We can see this book actually in Halo Reach. So, April 28th, 2526. Vice Admiral ordered us to repurpose everything, to quell the Covenant threat, and to refocus our research on wartime strategy. I couldn't agree more. It was, after all, my idea. Inquired if the entrance insurgency would adhere to our new policy. The sarcasm wasn't appreciated. Learned that Section 2 sent emissaries with full disclosure on their harvest event to warn outer colony leaders. We made the following offer. UNSC will immediately cease hostilities towards them if they will work to bolster their planetary defenses and end all assault on our ships, since those may be the only few things standing between them and obliteration. We see a fair of hands, I guess. Authority figures susceptible to suggestion under extreme pressure. They laughed. They thought it was some kind of trap, a false disaster designed as a trick. With One's reputation, this is almost a reasonable first reaction. They soon swallowed a bitter dose of reality when they saw Bliss destroy. Frantic pleas from Bliss disturbed, classified footage from the Accra debilitated. They knew this was eons beyond the destructive capacity of the UNSC. No more laughter, only mourning, and now resolve. An alien covenant single handedly solved our civil war? Not a trade I would have willingly accepted, but I'm always open to victories, no matter how small. May 3rd, 2526. Smart and dumb artificial intelligence. Both flagrant misnomers. Deja is dumb, with an equivalent human IQ of 240, within her field of expertise. This without taking into account the degradation that occurs with intelligent quotient in organic systems. As humans, our minds eventually deteriorate with age, yet, even the dumbest class of AI, unless terminated, continues to amass and synthesize data with precision. Smart AI is even more abstruse. This class of intellects is more aptly compared to stellar cycles than their distant organic cousins. They spark, burn brightly, and then either die by the crush of gravity or quickly terminate in a chaotic eruption. Both classes of AI accumulate knowledge, but smart AIs also grow in their ability to draw conclusion from an incomplete dataset, leaps of logic, as Dr. Forrester calls them, intuition, creativity. As smart AIs age, they make more interconnections within their neural matrix, increasing their cognitive abilities and expediting their demise. We see a schematic right here, and this text says dendritic growth, cross connections in near end of term AI strata, CF cancer growth. So this schematic essentially, from what I understand, represents AI cancer. Cross-linkage continues with two possible outcomes. The sheer density of connections cause a cascade of irreversible quantum transfer. A short circuit in rustic parlance, eventually halting all functions, or the AI takes extreme corrective actions, eliminating connections via preemptive voltage overload. The latter often leads to aberrant personality manifestation, or rampancy, death by intelligence. Current generation smart systems have a mean rampancy-free lifespan of only a few years. I've devised new matrix strata with random access optical couplers that can theoretically extend this lifespan. By exactly how much, I don't know. A randomly coupled matrix also, at least in simulations, boosts correlations effects such as accurate guessing. Inherent design limitations remain, e.g., the necessity of a human brain pattern to seed the initial matrix. Initiation time is obviously wasted as the fledgling AI overcomes this rudimentary neural linkage and develops its own superior system. Investigate polarization of topological solution pulse transfers. More scientific stuff. I mean, we have AI cancer now already. It would make sense for them to have it too. True, true, true. The AI's death is inevitable. Whose isn't? In any event, smart AIs were required for the Spartan 2 conscript's successful infiltration of other colony networks. And we need them more than ever now to counter the Covenant. The Vice Admiral authorized a test run of my protocols. Am I breathing life from non-life? Am I playing God or Mother? Or perhaps I've been beguiled by sentimental anthropomorphisms. I wonder. December 11th, 2529. Had limited success using the illegal entry protocols, so-called PIEs, to access a non-essential subroutine, if that term can even be accurately applied. In one Covenant system, for details, see Dr. Hardy's work on the Jackal Shield Gauntlet. Unfortunately, this procedure accelerates the terminal cross-linkage effect in my AIs. Gerard believes he has a solution. I'm skeptical. Proceeding with the utmost caution. We can't waste our AIs on desperate measures. It's fun to see that even though Dr. Halsey was a scientist, primarily, she still had a hobby. And she is a great artist. Hi, Devil Rose. Welcome, welcome. How you doing? April 9, 2530. Sometimes absence of data is in itself data. CPO Mendez is incommunicado. No one seems to know his whereabouts. I rarely trust intuition, but this stinks worse than one of Chief Sweets Williams' cigars. Must continue to monitor this situation. You just woke up a few days ago? A few hours ago? That's fine, that's fine. Welcome to Sunday evening story time. We're currently going over Halo: The Fall of Reach and the Dr. Halsey's journal, July 12th, 2531. Section 3 is using a new generation AI of their own to conduct surveillance and protect their assets. This AI was probably among the batch that the Vice Admiral requisitioned for. Thank you for the raid! Hi! Welcome, raiders. Greetings. My name is Kalia, the storyteller. I am an artist, life duty rigger, and the voice that narrates your every move. Today, we are reading Halo: The Fall of Reach. And we are continuing after a month, nearly. How was your stream? You were just chatting? I hope it went well. What were you talking about? That gives me plenty of time to take a small little food break. Can you read my every move? Maybe I am the one telling you what you're doing. I am simply the voice of your story. Nothing more. Right, where were we? Section 3 is using a new generation AI of their own to conduct surveillance and protect their assets. This AI was probably among the batch that the Vice Admiral requisitioned for missions of grave importance and secrecy. Evidently, one mission specifically protects Oni from me, since its counter-intrusion measures are triggered by my network codes, keystroke styles, and even my voice print. Could clandestinely check this sneak. Time wasters. I'd still be detected. My curiosity is piqued. What are they hiding? There is a little text here. Jacob has agreed to take her in. I'll miss her, but it's for the best. Who is her? I wonder. And then, I see you. January 18, 2532. Several Spartan 2 augmentation chemicals precursor have been routed to ONI Section 3 laboratories on Algolis, Meridian, and Ariel. Are they replicating my Spartan 2 program without my guidance? What are they doing with my work? Hey, Alex. Where's Master Chief? Um, right here. Can't fathom this implication. Tracked all my loose ends, and none of them have been repurposed from what I can tell. The rehabilitated candidates will soon be recommitted. Whatever is going on doesn't appear to involve them. It's perilous for me to maneuver so far outside my charter and the protection of the Vice Admiral. I have enemies who would relish seeing me charged with espionage or some other trumped up emergency military regulation to cover what we do. They undoubtedly think I'll dummy up in order to preserve my role with Oni. They underestimate me. I won't let this go. November 10th, 2533. Third gen AIs preemptively sever neural linkage in an attempt to circumvent their terminal phase. Accelerated link severing leads to increasingly poor choice of which links to cut. Ah, yeah, the AIs become so consumed with self preservation that they ultimately self terminate. Similar to the massive necrosis of neural linkage that occurs with the onset of language comprehension and vocalization in human infants, although in humans, the linkage severing eventually ceases. How would that feel when all you are is intellect to have to destroy what you've spent a lifetime creating? To palliate this frenzied cutting behavior, I've developed a new theoretical architecture with three AIs arranged in parallel. All decisions would be made by majority vote. If one abstains, the tie revolves randomly. Still need to follow up on reports of nested AI personalities on Harvest before it was lost. Though this may slow overall processing, I'm confident the AI trio would deconvolute and divide algorithms to compensate. There is also a relatively high probability such refinements could actually accelerate processing. Consensus decisions would also be strictly applied to linkage creation to forge a superior initial neural linkage. Increase to the trio's lifespan is unknown as simulations can't recreate in vivo artificial intelligence. Keeping this from the other AIs, not exactly a pleasant topic. Hello, Mortimer. Welcome, welcome, welcome. What other characteristic could emerge from an AI triumvirate? This is purely theoretical. The military currently requires every smart AI for the war effort. I do have AIs at my disposal, only three. I've taken the precautionary measure of moving candidates to the Sanderson Private Hospital on Beta Hydri 6. I feel unusually protective of them. Paranoia, pragmatism, sexual dysmorphism is written down here. Wrong chat. Listen, it's too late. It's clipped. We know. We have your information. We are coming to for you, Jays. December 25, 2534. Creation of cross linkage isn't the problem. Increased density of those links is what causes wave function collapse. Things get too tight. What if space weren't a limitation? Undoubtedly, the number of available connections would increase at a geometric rate. I illustrated this for Dr. Forrester by drawing a 2D X with 4 links, and then showing him a 3D sketch, 6, and so on. With increasing hyperdimension, he said it was a novel fancy. I lost him here. Even I can't make do of whatever the fuck these shapes are. What the good doctor failed to grasp is that although we are limited to 3 dimensions, in our 4-dimensional spacetime, there remain another space to exploit: slipstream space. A slipspace vessel must be enveloped in a quantum field to squeeze through the other higher dimension. But outside that field, one would have access to the full 11 plus or minus dimensional spacetimes predicted by classic string theory, which I consider dubious, by the way. Current experimentation of any exotic matter in this higher dimensional space remains theoretical until technology is invented that enables survival in the raw slipstream. Much to ponder. Practical application and required technology may be decades or centuries distant. AI is in the slipstream. Would there be a near limitless cross connection? FTL processing speed? What couldn't they do? Are we ready for that? Here it says remote constructions possible, and it's highlighted. Mjolnir Mark IV. The helmet features ECU, HUD, a solar panel, rebreather, blast shield. There are pivot points in the joint with flexibility limitation and rotating cuffs. On the waist, we have rotating upper torso connects into lower abdomen and crotch armor. On the hip, you have space for sidearm/holster. Knee pads attach at sides. We have ankle rotation that is limited. And for the foot, we have hard shell foot cover. We may need to reevaluate as new technologies and limitation manifest, especially if the covenant non-instrumental non-instrumentality problem is cracked. January 7, 2535. At the budget meeting, I reminded the Vice Admiral that continuous upgrades are integral to the Mjolnir system as a pioneering effort intended to shatter technological barriers. A philosophy I thought we already agreed on. I was told this is no longer possible. The military now requires a simplified generational system, MARC, to categorize, prioritize, and serialize the project neatly into fiscal year budgets. I'll go along with this request to keep the accountants out of my hair and my work. But I'll be damned if I'm going to wake on a breakthrough just to fit their calendars. They'll get their tidy generations of armor on paper, but my Spartan will get the best I can give them. I recognize I'm working with systemic impediments, and here is my preliminary modularization of upgrades for Mjolnir, post Mark III generations, obviously. These entries can, and likely will be modified or reconfigured as time, budget, and other limitations crops up. Here we have a drawing of the exploded view of the Mjolnir helmet, which honestly, quite incredible. Mark IV, standard vacuum survival system, standard fusion power, critical improvement over the fission power source, radar sensory package. The Mark V, smart AI strata to house symbiotic intelligence, upgrade comlinks satellite and fleetcom, passive stealth technologies active as soon as possible, full vacuum environmental system, improve fusion power with overload capacities, which allows for third generation PZ material system, increase strength and decrease reaction time, enhanced radar and low light tracking sensory package, energy shield possible for Mark V. We have no evidence that the early prototypes were useful. Then we have a little note. Binny's Coffee, CCPO JG James, 8 units in C longitude 1800, 1935. We have another diagram here, which depicts the torso. A free rotation for head neck, the external microphone, ECU environment control, larger arm sockets, the waist area, which is free rotating bearing locks into lower body/jumper armor sections. Thoughts? Collar/neck/guard, outfit with harness for better utility? Question mark. Next, the Mark 6 active stealth package, next gen EVA technology, possible Covenant enabled technologies, energy shield, integrated plasma energy system, null gravity assist package, and gravitonic weaponry. Very to be determined. Modular environmental package that can be field swap. Improve anti-plasma shield layers. Biofoam ejectors, assuming human clinical trials completes. Radar, thermal, and motion tracking sensor package. Next-gen PZ material system. Competing project within ONI? Question mark. Mark 7. Next-gen fusion plasma hybrid technology. Atmospheric insertion system. Slip space de-insertion capabilities. An active AI transfer protocol. Limited shaping of energy shield. Partial overlaps, airfoils, etc. I've also given the Vice Admiral, at his request, the 14 existing variation of Mjolnir. These are essentially like notes of what she would like for the version of the Mjolnir armor. Here we have more diagrams, well, drawings, which depicts the shoulder. Larger shoulder area, ample protection. Free moving overlapping may need revisions. Organic material nice, but not necessary. Underneath, we have a piece sits flush inside upper arm armor in the upper assembly. Elbow armor is hinge. Both upper and lower arm portions sit flush with one another when arm is straight, making hyperextension impossible without ample force to destroy armor. Here we have the arm. Highlighted here, contact with Dr. Yin Finto. Nanofabrication possible? Question mark. Did she take that research position on Titus? We can see that here it locks into the forearm. Locking pieces prevent over-rotation. Lower portion attached to handguard. Range of motion adequate for firearm use and hand-to-hand combat. Guard prevent hyperextension of the wrist. So, what we're seeing right now is that this armor augments the Spartan's capabilities by like tenfolds. But the armor must also be made to restrain them. Because if they go too fast, they're just going to break themselves. That is what is depicted in this. The armor protects them and them. High-legged. The free rotating waist connect to upper torso armor. We have the ammunition/utility pouches on the side. Lower abdomen plate connects into track for upper torso bending, which we see the little ball here. Codpiece connected to femoral artery armor. And down here, we see the holster for sidearm accommodates most UNSC handgun. And now the leg. The lower leg view, slot to head holster, the release bolts. Protects you, not even from yourself, is safe. Exactly. Locking collars hold two sections together for tight armor. For tie armor. Knee pads secures on sides. Reinforce piezoelectric bladders secure ankle and lower leg to prevent impact injury from high elevation jumps. And we have a foot covering hinge locking bolt and 15 millimeter teak soles. Oh, look at this. Here we have an exploded view of a needler. And the text reads, no. Physical, electronic, or radiative connections between controls and firing mechanisms. What is going on here? November 22nd, 2535. Received a top secret hand check findings. A LTN check procured a cache of Covenant weapons and miscellaneous artifacts in a recent skirmish in the Indra asteroid cluster. A UNSC sniper hit a plasma round from some kind of Covenant launcher. This extremely lucky shot detonated the round and destroyed all organic matter within 10 meters. Hand check secured a Pelican full of gear before enemy reinforcements arrived. He later died from radiation poisoning. Their weaponry is astonishing. No instrumentality. None of the surface controls or triggers connects in any way I recognize to the interior workings. Indeed, interior working itself is a mere conjecture because all we found inside the weapons are components that we can't begin to understand. These elements are impervious to our scanners, and when physically penetrated, their content self-destructs, in most cases, violently. Right? How do the Covenant species build these devices? Why wouldn't there be traces of their production design buried within their architecture? It makes logical sense that we would see this as we do in our own machines, yet we don't. Not a trace. Even more confounding is the core nature of their implements. While we are all well aware of their destructive capabilities on a planetary scale, much of their weapon technology seems heavily polarized, yet uniformly purpose. Covenant weapons range from being wildly obliterative to somewhat inferior to our own ballistic counterparts. It almost seems as though the technology was originally developed for some other purpose or purposes. These things aside, the immediate conclusion is grim and obvious. We are unable to replicate their technology. Give me just a sec. I need some water. If you know, by the way. Sorry, eating a piece of chicken. But yeah, so what she doesn't understand is that Covenant weaponry is based off Forerunner technology. And if I remember correctly, the weapons are constructed by the engineers, the Huragok, if I remember correctly. And also overseen by the Sensium. What a terrifying small creature in front of us. Yeah, right? I get flashbanged by it every time I open my computer. Listen, Salus made me this. I'm gonna use it. I don't think you understand. It is precious to me. All right, let's pick this back up. January 10, 2536. Leonard Gillespie, a graduate student for Dr. Forrester, actually broke this. Impressive. I've had him transferred to Reach. I'll watch him closely. An energy shield was found on a Kigyar warrior type, colloquially refers to as jackal. Yet another misnomer. They look like birds to me. Not a particularly momentous find in itself, except this particular shield device looked much older than any we've seen before. Isotopic analysis has been troublesome so far due to the nature of the materials, but we should have a much clearer picture of its age soon. Most important, it wasn't entirely non-instrumental. A portion of its inner apparatus was not sealed. We've already learned much. Initial test confirms that with massive power input, we can replicate and sustain very small energy shield surface areas. And here we have the, I would say, graph of this thing. The cap/field attenuator, where we have the housing, which we have another thing that goes in between that, which is the field direction, frequency modulator or post-processor boosters, hard to discern its purpose. Detailed shift FFT extol analysis pending from beta 3. Signal filter and an adapter or power regulator, almost sure. And then, underneath it, this obviously emits the energy shield. Team carefully scanning micro details, expecting surprises. Then we have the sleeve/bushing and/our power supply. Major outstanding question: how this thing is powered. And then we have the shield geometry and strength, which, if you look at this, what does it remind you of? Can you tell? Let's think for a moment. What can keep plasma and the likes in a very specific orb? Electromagnetism. Which, magnets. Covenants are using magnets to protect themselves. And the power of the fucking sun. But Ooh. Look at how good she is. Look at how amazing Halsey is as an artist. Covenant Secundarium Carnivora Proedonis, or Jackal. Kigyard. Literally bones and everything. She's great. She's great. The mathematics, however, are not in our favor. No curved ship design can come close to producing enough power to maintain shielding over a cabin, much less the whole vessel.
Time to do some sketchy shit. Do-da, do-da. Hope I get away with it. Oh, do-da day.
I guess. Are we doing sketchy shit today? No, I don't think so. But for Mjolnir, I must get my hands on this artifact. It may provide the opportunity I've sought for so long. And here we have symbol elevated and glowing on top center portion of equipment. Does that remind you of something? This is something we've seen. Or, for those of you who played the game, have seen. May 25, 2537. Kalmia and I have deciphered what may be a root addiction to a meta-covenant language system. Elements that also manifest in their operating system. Another misnomer. Employing this symbolic logic appears to counter the accelerated cross-linkage in our AIs, making slow, very slow, but steady progress. We see a few of the symbols drawn here with some notes. Does orientation matter? What is the significance of slightly elevated triangles? Investigate possibility of dimensional slice of a more complex topology. March 18, 2543. Found it. Now I'll have to transcribe my notes from my new journal into this one. Perhaps I'll find shuffling papers and rebinding them a soothing therapy. Perhaps not. But as effective as this book may be at keeping my notes off the network, I must secure it from low-tech Priam. I won't always be able to keep it on me. I do tend to treat my personal thing with less care. It'll probably spend half its time buried in a corner of the lab, giving my usual habits. It would be simple enough to implant a small strip of nanoscene explosive into the class and key it to my DNA. But as much as I might enjoy seeing one of my minders walking about a few fingers short, I'll likely employ something a tad more refined. Which, funnily enough, if you pay... okay, it's really hard to see. But if you pay close attention, the paper is different from this one. Which is very, very great as a design choice. Like, you can see that she broke the book and she reassembled it. But then this page makes no sense as well. Maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? My experiment to sever portions of an AI, March 21st, 2543. I might be wrong, honestly. Like, the page are all the same, but I thought I saw something, but it's not. Forget I said anything. I'm stupid. March 21st, 2543. My experiment to sever portion of an AI from its living matrix strata and then reintegrate data and connections went flawlessly. I'm profoundly relieved. No literal cutting of the material was involved. Rather, a copy of the composite wave function was generated using similar neural scan technology employed in initial AI seeding. This pattern was then transferred to a blank matrix, wherein new data were obtained and new connection made. But the real innovation is how the separated AI portion was then reintegrated with the mother AI strata. Optical repeaters maintain the boundary value wave function at 0 within the original AI, but not indefinitely. Recommend no longer than an 8-day separation. Consequently, excised portions of an AI can learn and evolve autonomously. This new knowledge can then be reabsorbed into the parent matrix. Still a highly experimental process. I'm Designating I'm designating it non-section until I more carefully weigh the long-term ramifications. More doodles. May 20, 2544. Several counterinsurgency strategies that Section 3 has expended resources developing have failed to neutralize the ongoing Covenant threat. Notable exceptions: Spartan 2, Mjolnir, Gungnir, Consequences, Bravado, as well as new generation cloning and AI technologies. And one more. Discovered just today, the illegal entry protocol, PI, used for hacking insurgent networks, have deciphered a tiny portion of the aforementioned Jackal seal system. Just goes to show that no scrap of genius goes wasted. I've had Gerard dedicate all his runtime to further avenues of inquiry. Perhaps they can crack more. Already have enough data to run a simulated test for a Mjolnir energy shield system. Moreover, if we can understand their operating systems, we hope to gain insight into their language, their motivations. That might prove ultimately of more value than any weapon we could devise. And then we have, I'd almost thought this thing was lost in one of the last few lab moves. Not that I could say anything about it, if it was. Still, I'll be more careful and I'll write more. So much going on. I have so much to say. I've grown accustomed to no one listening. September 3, 2547. Dr. Canterfeld has asked for help. This all started innocently enough, with me inquiring about the assumption of the Mutensor calculation in his later paper in IC PhysRev. SF space, Centerfeld responded, is literally slippery. He proceeded in his laser precise manner to explain why his assumptions are valid. And, with intellectual integrity, the area of his research that continued to elude him. I want to help. I see the relevance of his theories in slipstream anomalies. Faster ships, more accurate jumps. Who knows what other innovations could emerge from this work? We need those advantages to counter an enemy with superior technologies. I'm starting to doubt their superior intelligence. He has the highest level contacts and support at the UN. He might even be able to effect a transfer. Hey, Spartan. How are you doing? I could be subsumed by such pure research, lost in the mathematics. All too easy to forget that so many might die, that they depend on me. What would that be like? How could I leave now when so many trails of my research are converging? The Vice Admiral calls it destiny. I call it purgatory. Or dharma. Why do I easily invoke such archaic religious metaphors? In parentheses. Etienne, it is simply my burden, and it may be all I have left after giving up a noble life. Family, my Spartans, and even the illuminated entities whom I've come to understand. Ultimately, I must spend them all. I can't even tell Centerfeld why. I'll send a note. Tomorrow. Oh boy. Oh boy. Woo! Master equation for rate of incoming slash outgoing dimension in Shaw Fujikawa space. Non-equilibrium probability. I am not reading that. Do we understand any of these symbols? I don't. I don't understand Matt. I can't even understand me. Ah, just so you know, this is normal. This came like this. It's fun. September 4th, 2547. Over the years, an idea percolated in my subconscious. I suppose it's an intriguing possibility that I have contemplated in one form or another all my life. Wait. Or another, all my life, even as an impressionable young child, when my father recite every adventurous tale of L. Frank Baum Oz. But now I've assembled and secreted all the disparate components, the last by mere happenstance. Do I possess the metal to do this? Not that I would even entertain some puerile belief in fate or luck, or anything from among the host of superstition many cling to. Still, there is something. The battle worn frigate Tripping Light has arrived in dry dock. Her hefty old drive is slated for spinal spin down, removal, and disposal at 16:15 today. Enough musing and procrastination. I must act quickly. Hmm. Do you know this page is very intriguing, okay? This page, if you guys don't know, well, it is ripped apart, yes. Why? Who knows? There are a few of them. However, I think I know what they are now that I look at them closely. Mm. Let me just a second to get it. The question is, can I locate it in this book? Let me just skim through it really quickly. See if I can see it. The Cole Protocol. Let's see if I can see it really quickly. I don't know where it is, though. It's been so long. Oh, no. Unless it's at the literal end of it. Oops. You know what I told you? I stole the books. Huh. I can't really find it, sadly. Unless I missed it somewhere. You know what? I know where we can find it. The internet. Whoops. The Cole Protocol. So, for those of you who don't know, the Cole Protocol is essentially a safety measure when they engage Covenant forces. So, The way it works is that to safeguard and protect the inner colonies on Earth, all UNSC vessel or station must not be captured with intact navigation database that may lead Covenant forces to human civilian population centers. If any Covenant forces are detected, 1. Activate selective purge of database on all ship bays and planetary data networks. 2. Initiate triple screen check to ensure all data has been erased and all backups neutralized. 3. Execute viral data scavenger, which brings us a link of whatever they have to get it from. 4. If retreating from Covenant forces, all ship must enter slipstream space with randomized vector not directed toward Earth, the inner colonies, or any other human population center. 5. In case of imminent capture by Covenant forces and borders, all UNSC ship must self-destruct. Violation of this directive will be considered an act of treason and pursuant of UNSC Military Law Article JAG A45P and JAG 7556L. Such violations are punishable by life imprisonment or execution. This is when they started to not fuck around, by the way. The gloves were coming off by that time. Now then. September 5, 2547. Most of my friends from my youth are now dead. Every day I check the KIA list on the UNSC subnet, afraid to even admit to myself what names I'm looking for. The closest friends left are the AIs that surround me. But it occurs to me they are all technically dead too. Or perhaps burning brighter and more alive than any of us. We see like a tree here, which depict an infant. We have Calmia, the Vice Admiral, Mendes, the Spartans, a person named Alize, Georgette, Keys, and Miranda. March 24, 2549. We have successfully used our hardware and algorithm to scan and imprint neural networks from human brains to AI seeds. At much lower intensities, we imprint ephemeral low-order structures, i.e. short-term memories, between two participant intellect. This is not telepathy, as Dr. Forrester calls it. Rather, it imparts the same neural network imprints as audio, scent, visual, and similar stimulation, minus the sensory input part, of course. The result is a direct human-to-AI neural linkage. Field tests pending, must get those done soon. This is the final Mark V upgrade we need. My final gift to the Spartans. A gift that will make them ferociously effective against the technology of the adversary. The last thing I can offer to help them survive. Why then do I feel that by combining Spartan and AI, I lose both? Is there any choices left? Here we see, I guess, a sketch of the brain from the underside. Typical range variants of postoperative unraveling of topological memory, misnomer, wire to final geometry. Growth/migration continue 6 to 9 months to partially invasive BCI phase, dura matter. Underneath it, we see some sort of we see essentially the logic interface. Permanent insert collar, interior occipital protuberance. The unspooling nodes all shows here. Magneto isolation couplings with 1 to 3 tolerance 3 times 10 negative 18T. More math. Should be the front. No, because we see this is the front here. And this is like the back of the head, like right here. And we see like the spine of the central nervous system here. Over here, side growth termini, some post-operative random walk growth shown, mitigated by magnetoencephalographic and MCI guide probe. I am very happy I didn't fuck this one up. The proper insertion angle is negative 12 degrees. Hiya, Vilky! Welcome, welcome. Note, make magnetic soft dock to prevent further accidents. Yikes. Oh boy. May 21st, 2549. Today, I broke civilian laws, UNSC military regulation, and the UN colonial mortal dictata. Far from the first time. Extreme measures, necessary measures. New candidates lack both physical and intellectual agility. Still, the law is unequivocal. No living human's brain may be used as an AI matrix seed. The ultra deep personality scan destroys the organic substrate. I shouldn't speak ill of the dead, those who have donated their organs post mortem, the bodies of the valiant, scientific pioneers, heroes all. Simply put, my third gen smart AIs requires bitter material. The solution, though illegal and unethical, was simple and obvious. I've cloned myself. Desperate times require desperate measures, you know? Use the same mothballed equipment used to create clones of the Spartan candidates. This time, however, I've enhanced the neural physiology at the expense of the other bodily functions. Almost no one knows, and those who do can be trusted. The equipment is hidden and secure from all save my eyes. Disquieting, watching copies of myself grow, malform, and curl into a fetal position. I grieve for them. I want to allay their suffering. We must all make sacrifices, especially now. Perfect cue. Perfect music cue. Thank you. Thank you, music. July 29, 2549. I successfully excise all brains from their bodily shells and place them in cryogenic units. Only 7 weeks to the completion of my personality transfer. I haven't decided whether to tell them they are or were me. How do you even broach such a topic? Not after what happened to Ralph. And what would I call them? Sisters? Daughters? My superegos? All parameters are green. I flash incinerated remaining organic substrates. My relief is palpable. September 9, 2549. Arcadia is gone. This wasn't the first time it was attacked. The Covenant came in 2531, destroyed the orbital refinery complex and the major population centers on the planet. Admiral Cole and his fleet intervened and destroyed the enemy. The colonists fled after the initial battles. Yet, over the intervening 18 years, they slowly returned and rebuilt. It's rare that anyone returns to a world one left in ruin by the Covenant. Very rare. Arcadia became a symbol of humanity's resilience. Then, several weeks ago, the Covenant returned to finish the job. Glassed and evocative, if not entirely accurate term. I've seen partial reports of colonies obliterated, leaving millions of casualties. This time, I have a near complete record of the attack from an orbiting weather satellite, repurposed at the last moment by some perspicacious meteorologist. I watched the entire event: the Covenant arrival via slipstream, the plasma bombardment, the careful immolation of every vital part of the planet. Such a massive fleet, much larger than what they usually use to eradicate one of our colonies. It was terrible. So much power for so much death. I know that some would smirk at the idea of the callous Dr. Halsey shrinking from any destruction, but this was harrowing. I watched because I had to. I couldn't pass on the possibility of learning something from this footage. Every moment of my viewing was agony. There is a perennial mystery of whether the Covenant glasses the entire surface of a world or merely use those ungodly weapons to destroy all meaningful resistance, saving the rest of the planet for other purposes. The energy required to quickly dispatch a planet is, well, if they continuously had that measure of power at disposal, there would be no human Covenant ship to ship battles. They would win, instantly, without exception. So, why did Arcadia suffer such a merciless onslaught? Did it pose a threat to them? Have religious or political value? Or was it a message for us? The satellite was destroyed before the event was complete. Arcadia's final moment, forever lost. September 14, 2549. Hacked into the redacted portion of other Arcadia reports. They show civilian transport fleeing by the hundreds. As we've known from previous Covenant attacks, they often shoot down these transports before they make the transition to slipstream space. This time, they shifted their main plasma beams to catch the shuttle's outbound trajectories, broiling the ship in orbit. It's oh so easy for them to destroy us. And here we have a sketch of Miranda. Ah, shit. Look at this. Oops. Need to keep those things at the right place. Huh. November 7th, 2549. Specimen H2, 3, and 4 remain in cryogenic suspensions. I have other future plans for them as technology evolves. The H1 specimen's neural pattern has been transferred and authenticated to AI matrix strata. Initiation sequence completed within normal quantum flux tolerance. Must conceal my unease. She has no idea I've planted a viral termination code in her kernel. Or she does, and already isolated and bypassed it, having the tact not to mention it to me. She calls herself Cortana. She spokes her first word in Italian. When the game is over, the king and pawn go into the same box. Hmm. The words are my mother's spoken to me after our first game of chess. The first and last time she won. Morality, mortality, and metaphor. I'm delighted with Cortana. She has assumed a rather simple human appearance, much to my relief. So many of the Oni AIs adopt such theatrical personas. Her face resembles mine when I was fresh out of college. So wonderful and naive, and eager to learn. It's almost like looking into a mirror. Part of her looks like Miranda, part is purely her own invention. Her intellect is simply ferocious. Success. We are nearly caught up to where the Fall of Reach has left us. April 6th, 2550. Years ago, despite my best efforts, I couldn't dissuade Miranda from joining the UNSC or OCS, or, finally, requesting duty on a ship of the line. Not that she was even answering my letters at that point. I tried reason and logic. She has always been resistant to those. Initially, she likely joined the military to impress her father. After all, she had her name legally changed. Should have tried to dissuade her. Instead, I let her go quietly, arranging to have her assigned to the outermost colonies on the Hilbert, an antiquated science vessel from the days of colonial expansion, now refit for long range sensing. I believe it was the safest place any UNSC officer could be stationed. Lamentably, desperate times make martyrs of innocents and heroes of survivors, and the foolishly brave who defy all odds and live. They make commanders of them, apparently. Miranda and her crewmates rammed the Hilbert into a Covenant destroyer as it attacked three UNSC corvettes that were ironically responding to their distress signal. The Covenant had properly ignored her vessel as it had no weapons that could penetrate any shields. But Miranda may have inherited her father's unconventional strategy, strategic, suicidal, question mark, thinking. Because she gave the order to critically overload her ship's engine and nudge the enemy vessel into the gravity well of Gamma Pavonis 7. Even a Covenant destroyer with energy shields can't survive a fiery atmospheric descent at terminal velocity and the subsequent surface impact, followed by the Hilbert's exploding fusion reactors. Miranda was only one of two of Hilbert's crew to make it to the escape pod. And now, Lord Hood has personally presented her with the new commander's insignia, a silver star, and her own frigate to command, in emberclad. After years of silence, she invited me to the ceremony. I didn't go. Because her father would be there? Question mark. Because I am neck deep in the final stage of a half dozen project? Question mark. I know why I didn't go. I don't want to say it. Here we have a sketch of what seems to be a station with the text Hyperion Station, Onyx, Jazz 9. June 3rd, 2550. I need some water. Honestly, like when we catch up to the book to the Halo Reach book chapter, I'm probably like gonna leave it there for next week. So forgive me about that, but I've been talking so much. There's so much text to read. It's been a while since I've talked this much. Okay, June 3rd, 2550. Prof. Laszlo Sorvad started his archaeological survey of the debris field near the village of Visegrad. With his help, and without my authority, ONI Section 2 leaked that this site may contain a pre colonization meteorite with metallurgical and astrophysical scientific value. Furthermore, because of the shielded nature of the terrain and the specific timing of the strike, data the study yield could be vital. Why not just say the location is a dump site for toxin and radiologicals from the terraforming process? No one would dare set foot near the place. Nearby villagers will also more readily accept suggestions for relocation if, read when, that become necessary. When feeding lies, the masses digest the simple one most easily. This does, however, give me additional insight into how Section 2 thinks. I'll know what to look for in the future. November 23rd, 2550. A new UNSC regulation came down today regulating the confidentiality and non disclosure of any official messenger satchel. This, on top of a long list of onerous security regulations and protocols that turn every file into a kaleidoscopic menagerie of top secret, eyes only, and under threat of mandatory imprisonment stamps, warnings, threats, and seals. The Vice Admiral has obviously and uncharacteristically deflected all inquiries regarding this. Is this because of Visgrad? Or perhaps some of the other rumored site I've been collecting data on? While I do appreciate the need for the utmost secrecy on any information culled from the site, I don't appreciate any relevant data being kept from me. If Visgrad is what we all think, it might be, and if there are other such sites, who has positioned themselves to assay the larger picture. I don't think Sorvad is devious enough to make such a play. Who then? Here we have some little sketches, well, little drawings and text. If that Ender's girl was still around, she would have come in handy right about now. She was always so difficult, but this has, without a doubt, become a shared interest. Ooh, we're nearly there. We are nearly there. February 20, 2551. Admiral Isionis Jerome has taken our largest medical facility, the UNSC Hopeful, out of reach orbit and with a minimal escort, transitioned to slipstream space. Where? And more importantly, why? The Hopeful is always on the move, tending to the wounded, assisting with civilian evacuation, and mobilizing medical care when disease ravaged the poor colonies. Since the war has escalated, her normal escort is 5 destroyers and 6 corvettes, the latter modified to carry their own fleets of rescue vehicles. This time, Jerome's departure entirely lacked the frenetic urgency that usually accompanies one of his errands of mercy. Hopeful had only a single destroyer escort, with, according to my sources, one Oni prowler tagging along. I normally don't ruminate on the withdrawal of military vessel in orbit around Reach, but my interest is piqued considering that 1. Hopeful is the best mobile hospital and medical research facility we have. 2. Hopeful's Nav AI was unusually tight lipped when asked by Calmia about their destination. 3. Hopeful's manifest had several last minute addition of chemicals classified as carcinogenic, mutanogenic, and experimental. Their tracking numbers were accidentally garbled into the network's database. What clandestine medical experiments is Section 3 conducting? Why would the Vice Admiral keep this from me? And why effectively decommission the Hopeful as the flagship wartime hospital when their services are so gravely needed? Inquiries to the usuals have met with dead ends. Damn this place. Here we have a drawing of the Hopeful. February 27, 2551. The Hopeful return. Jerome was his usual congenial, gentlemanly self, and even inviting me up for a look at the new flash clone organ facility. With an abrupt turn in conversation, he told me, before I could ask, that he knew I was fishing and couldn't tell me what he knew, which, in his words, was damned little. If I say anything, they'd stuff me into one of these new top secret banded security satchel and file it under open mouth slash incinerate. He's right. Here we have a sketch of one of the location in the first mission of Halo Reach. May 10, 2551. Sorvad is obviously gifted with a formidable intellect, but sometimes he can be such a thoroughgoing idiot. I suspect this situation and the power he thinks he wields are going straight to his head. I've been urging him since we found the site to migrate the population and avoid any of these kinds of security issues. If he had listened to me in the first place, we wouldn't be in this situation. Spilt milk, I guess. I'm keeping one eye on the village inhabitant to ensure they don't just disappear. Section 3 is taking no chances on the site. Nothing is out of bounds for them. As an insurance policy, I've told the Vice Admiral that these people are valuable. They are the only one with extended exposure to the site. We may yet need to study them. Sorvad assures me that the site is still secure. Only the dig team, and then only certain members of it, myself, and a few other necessary parties on my side have seen the item in question. He insists on continuing with only a skeleton crew of his most trusted people. And then he tells me he won't tolerate another Farragut station. I simply nodded. I don't like this. Was he fishing? Or does Sorvad actually know what happened there? The real reason for the Farragut station relocation. Sorvad may ultimately prove himself a security risk. Now, before I just need to check this chapter 15 date before I continue on this. July 17. Okay. This is probably the yeah, this is the last one. This is the last one. May 15, 2552. Today came with some level of vindication for me, although a bitter one. Calmia caught a glimpse of several documents in the Vice Admiral's Beta 5 server while she was taking a stroll through the base's network. These files range from service order transfers of existing Spartan 2 soldiers to highly classified non Spartan 2 detachments. This has been going on for years. I won't simply let this activity go. They should have kept me involved. No doubt they are ludicrous shortcuts they're taking. I have a list of names, with one particularly obscene man at the top. Not sure who all of the responsible parties are, but rest assured, as soon as I get a handle on these affairs with Sorvad, I plan on sending Kalmia back in. Someone is going to pay for this. And we've caught up. Woo! This was an incredible wake up call for my for my lungs, and they are currently on fire. So today was a short stream, but I really, really enjoyed myself. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. Good lore. Yes, indeed. Now then, who should we go check? Is anybody streaming Halo today? Categories. Thanks for the reading. You are more than welcome. I will upload the VOD after stream. We could go see. Let's go see this person. Oh, they've been live for a while though. So this one here. All right. While I'm setting this up, you guys can like come up with a raid message in the meantime. /raid. This is the first time I'm seeing this person. They are another VTuber. There you go. You know what? Halo lore raid. We have books. Cortana is Italian. Cortana is Italian. Raid. Control C. 2, 3, 4, 5. And there you go. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I appreciate it very much. I will keep you posted as to when I'm going to be streaming work this week. We will be delving into model making for 2.0. And also, I will be forcing myself to learn how to shade clothes on stream. Besides that, I will keep you guys posted on what I'm going to be doing this week in terms of games. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate it. Hi, Jelly. You just arrived the last minute. Bye-bye, folks. Take care.